Most companies can't clearly report ROI on their marketing. What we're going to do today is show you how we provide the strategy and execution to not only track your marketing spend, but also to identify which channels are the most effective so that you can make data-driven decisions on how to grow and scale your business with clarity. My name is Chris Carr. I'm the president and founder of Faratech. I've also invited Todd Smith. Todd is our VP of Partner Growth to help share this story. I started Faratech in 2001, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about how we helped clients transform their marketing. But let me go back and kind of tell you how the journey began. You see, when we first started out, we were just building websites. But what we were hearing from our clients is, hey, you know what? You built me an incredible website, but nobody can find it on the first page of Google. So what we had to do is we had to learn SEO. So at this point, we're building incredible websites, we're helping our clients get found on the first page of Google, but we were still hearing from them, you know what? We're not getting enough sales opportunities. We're not getting enough leads. And so what we had to do is we had to say, hey, you know what? If we're really going to make it as a company and really be the company that we dreamed of being, then we're going to have to learn how to do something we call CRO, which means conversion rate optimization. Over the last 20 years, we've been able to help a number of really successful companies build a systematic approach that generates leads, nurtures leads into clients, and then converts those clients into brand ambassadors.
It is our vision to help our clients create a marketing system that generates leads, nurtures leads into clients, and then converts those clients into raving fans of your company's brand, message, and vision. When our approach is implemented effectively, you will have the following: a comprehensive marketing system and not independent solutions, a 3 to 5 year roadmap to help 5x or 10x your leads and sales opportunities. Our team-based approach allows your company to have access to subject matter experts whenever you need them. Our approach will revolutionize the way you hire for marketing. We're also going to give you the ability to make data-driven decisions rather than relying on hunches, trends, or fads. And lastly, a clear understanding of your marketing ROI and understand how you can scale effectively. As a company, we're in a very unique position. Our client base is evenly distributed between B2B and B2C, meaning our approach has been designed to work for both business-to-business clients and business-to-consumer clients. As a result, our team has been able to implement successful strategies for both sets of clients. When done successfully, our system replaces the traditional sales funnel with the flywheel approach. The benefit of the flywheel approach is that it allows your company to generate leads, nurture leads, and convert leads. But now it's designed to take it one step further by developing a systematic approach to request referrals. When quality work and execution meets a bona fide referral strategy, your marketing efforts become self-sustaining and your results often compound. According to the Harvard Business Review, it's estimated that it is 10 times more expensive to sign a new client than it is to keep and upsell an existing one. So while we're going to help you sign new deals, we're also going to help you create more revenue from your existing clients by increasing their lifetime value. As opposed to most marketing companies, our vision is to have all of the services that are commonly siloed across several solution providers all under one roof. An overview of our services include branding strategy, web development, video development, sales cycle optimization, inbound marketing, and outbound marketing.
Let's face it, these days there's one phenomenon that's unavoidable, and that is marketing is moving way too fast. So what do we do about it? Well, traditionally companies hire someone internally that handles their marketing. In this analogy, we're going to call that person Marketing Mary. It is very possible that Marketing Mary is excellent at her job. But the problem is that because marketing is moving so fast, even if she works 120 hours a week, there's still no possible way that she's going to be able to keep up with all the facets required to meet potential client expectations. So what Mary will have to do is she's going to have to focus on one thing and ignore everything else. Or she's going to have to tackle all of these digital marketing initiatives, but with very little depth. Quite simply, she doesn't have the time to do them effectively. But there's an even bigger problem. If you're following the content marketing industry, you will soon realize that we are in the middle of something called a content overload crisis, which means that there's simply too much content on the World Wide Web right now. For example, as of 2020, there's an estimated 2 billion blogs on the internet. That's one blog for every 7 people. And as you see from this infographic made by GoGlobe, there's a tremendous amount of content that is constantly being produced online. For example, there are over 400 hours of video uploaded every single minute to YouTube. Think about that. So now let's go back to Mary's story. Mary has a choice. She finds herself at a crossroads. She can either try to handle everything on her own, which we've already concluded is practically impossible, or she can delegate. By delegating, she's going to be adding more staff and multiple vendors, which gets extremely expensive. But we're going to get back to that later. Now, let's look at what the common 3 to 5 year journey looks like for a marketing executive if she chooses option 2, to delegate. Mary is going to work as hard as she can to try to do as many critical marketing initiatives as possible. However, sooner or later, she's going to realize that if she wants to meet the ongoing demand of client expectations, she's going to need support. So commonly, the first person she hires is a content writer, because she's going to need someone to write content, develop blogs, and help out with presentations. Next on the list, she's going to need to hire someone internally or use an outsourced vendor to handle social media. Then, in order to outrank the competition, she's going to have to hire a qualified SEO specialist. And by this point, she's already taxing her web developer, and all those marketing materials need to remain brand consistent, so she's going to need to hire a graphic designer. So when she first started this journey, she probably never figured that it would require this much overhead to handle all the responsibilities involved in handling marketing effectively. So what is the alternative? I'm glad you asked. Her alternative is to hire an agency that utilizes a team-based approach. With a team-based approach, she has access to subject matter experts only when she needs them. And now she can get more done with less hassle simply because a team like Veritech has the time and possibly the subject matter expertise that she doesn't. And when she compares either outsourcing to multiple different vendors or hiring internally, it's really no comparison. By utilizing an agency model like Veritech, the cost commonly comes out at a deep, deep discount. But wait, there's more. The heart of what we do comes down to helping our clients make data-driven decisions. So it makes sense that Veritech spends nearly $7,000 a month on software and analytics tools to make sure that our clients maximize every single opportunity.
So now that we talked about what we do, now I want to talk to you about is how we do it. What you see here is our unique process. We've built this process over the last 2 decades. We don't believe that marketing should be made up of independent solutions, but rather a system of solutions working in harmony with each other. Let's walk through it together. First, we start out with a gap assessment. Next, usability conversion analysis. SEO strategy, content strategy, lead nurturing, social media, paid advertising, video development, and finally, analytics and reporting. So now that we've gone through the unique process, let's go back to the beginning, the gap assessment. A gap assessment is a 10-week deep dive into your company's goals, KPIs, and growth opportunities. And it's also a way to look at your total marketing potential in relation to the size of your industry and how much market share you need to reach your goals. A gap assessment is an extremely thorough process that happens at the beginning of your journey with Veritech. But we're going to talk about it in more detail later in this presentation. What you should know is that the data that is extracted from this process serves as the backbone of the system that we are building for your organization. It's our vision to help your team 10x your business leads and opportunities. identify critical gaps in your marketing approach, develop foundational marketing assets to scale campaigns, create and maintain a marketing scorecard, identify your quarterly priorities and goals, review your competition, identify the lifetime value of your current and prospective clients, and finally, establish an ROI model that scales as your business grows. Our approach is designed to establish a foundation for your marketing that can be scalable. To do this effectively, we have to generate short-term and long-term goals. Building a system takes time, and there are certain elements of our process such as SEO, building domain authority, establishing your brand and messaging, that will always be a work in progress. However, while there are long-term goals, our system is also designed to generate quick wins and capitalize on low-hanging fruit. To maximize the benefit of the compounding power of our comprehensive approach, it's imperative that you have a balance between your short-term and long-term goals. Let's walk through some of the highlights of what we cover in the gap assessment. Obviously, the first place we're going to start is with your brand. And when I say brand, I don't just mean your logo, your font, and your color scheme. While all of that's important, I'm talking about how you establish and refine your message to a variety of different target audiences and buyer personas. We utilize a scientific process, and to help us with that, we lean on a proven outline from the book, Building a Story Brand. Let me get a copy of that. In his book, Donald Miller outlines a turnkey approach to help your company clarify your message to maximize engagement. We've taken this approach one step further with our story guide exercise that allows us to take your newly refined message and apply it to our comprehensive marketing approach. The next step of our process is to identify all of your ideal buyer personas and influencers who might engage with your marketing. What I'd like to do is bring Chris back to the stage to talk about an example.
Let's examine our approach that we took for one of our most recognized clients, the Rothman Orthopedics Institute. Rothman Orthopedics is one of the most renowned orthopedics practices in the United States, according to U.S. News & World Report. We helped lead their digital optimization strategy for nearly a decade. At that time, Rothman had a very successful marketing campaign called Rothman First. We piggybacked off of that campaign to create a wide net approach. Let me explain what that is. The wide net approach allows us to create a generalized marketing message that we can apply to anyone who has hip pain, knee pain, spine pain, you name it. They're going to think Rothman First. But that was just the beginning. We decided to take it one step farther. Rather than trying to sell orthopedic services one client at a time, we thought, hey, you know what? Let's try to sell orthopedic services one community at a time. So here's the logic behind it. If I'm trying to find individuals with back pain, it's going to be pretty difficult to do that because nobody advertises on their social media page, hey, you know what? I've got back pain. But what they will advertise are things about their life, such as their hobbies, and in this case, cycling. You see, in Philadelphia, cycling is huge. It turns out orthopedic practices love cyclists. Why? Because they hurt themselves all the time, and they have chronic pain. So we identified some of the most common sports and activities that eventually led to joint pain and deterioration. We knew that if we established Rothman as a thought leader in those communities and found ways to reach influential people in those groups, it would just be a matter of time before cyclists in that region thought Rothman First. By investing in the entire cycling community and creating inroads with cyclists, we position Rothman as a thought leader in their circle. Not only were we marketing to cyclists, but also to influencers. Because everyone knows that for every cyclist with a bad back, there's a spouse who's tired of hearing about it. Once we established that cyclists were the community that we were going after, we then began to target them as a group by designing specific marketing materials for cyclists in the form of ebooks, white papers, videos, etc. Because it reaches a very specific buyer persona, this process has worked very effectively, and it's been adopted for most of the clients that we partner with. So now that we've gone through that, let me bring Todd back to the stage who can talk about buyer personas.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. So how do we do buyer persona exercises? Well, this is the part of marketing that most companies don't do. Why? Because it's hard. Essentially, we created what we call war room sessions with the subject matter experts from your team. In those sessions, we ask a series of really important questions about your products and your services, and then analyze how the answers to these questions vary from one buyer persona to the next buyer persona. Because what we don't want to do is market to all the same potential targets with just one message. For example, if you had a torn ACL, and then you started to get messaging from an orthopedics practice about how they have the best spine center in the country, there's a very small likelihood that you would even open up that email. Why would you even care? But if the same orthopedics practice did proper segmentation of their list and sent you messaging about knee pain, there's a good chance you'd open up that email. So the goal of buyer persona exercises is to get the right message to the right potential client at the right time. One of the best examples we've seen of buyer persona specific messaging comes from Jack Canfield, the godfather of the buyer persona. You may know him as the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. Now, writing a best-selling book is not why Jack is considered a genius. Where Jack was a genius is that he realized the power of creating highly tailored messaging for a specific target audience. For example, veterans, firefighters, and teachers, they could all find books that would leave them feeling like that book was written just for them. Segmentation and personalization works. Companies that leverage both, they commonly outperform their competitors. In the gap assessment, we also look at your sales and marketing integration. We believe that when sales and marketing are working together with their messaging, automation, analytics, and CRM, great things will happen. Now I want to walk through how buyer persona specific marketing can really impact sales. Faratech has made an excellent name for ourselves in the orthopedics industry. Here's how we market to orthopedics, CMOs, and physicians. So the graphic you see here represents the actual Faratech sales cycle. The circles represent every touch point we have with the sales target. As you can see here, a lead or a sales opportunity comes in here. Then the opportunity leads to a first-time appointment, which we call an FTA. Then eventually, a second-time appointment, STA. Then we write a proposal for a gap assessment, and finally, the proposal is either accepted or rejected. The main reason why we do this ideal sales cycle is there comes a time in any sales journey where everything seems to be going really well. You've had one or two great sales presentation, the client's really resonating with your message, your approach, and your investment, but for some reason or another, that potential client just disappears or becomes a ghost. They don't answer your calls, texts, or emails, and they essentially slip off the hook. We call that phenomenon drop off. The goal of the sales cycle is to eliminate drop-off by creating buyer persona specific marketing materials that are engaging and keep the potential sales target enthusiastic about your products or services. Better yet, each part of your sales cycle works in conjunction with your CRM so that you can forecast the monetization of your pipeline. So what I'd like to do now is welcome Chris back to the stage to present the next section of our presentation.
Thanks, Todd. The next part of the unique process is called usability conversion analysis. When we develop usability conversion analysis, we're going to be measuring how people engage with your website, and we're also going to be measuring what parts of usability need improvement and how to optimize each opportunity through A/B testing, multivariate testing, and other research methods. What you're seeing here is what we call heat mapping analysis. On this particular website, the organization assumed that we had a large majority of their audience that would be going to this button here called orthopedic specialties. The reason why they believed this is because the most important information on the entire website was located there. However, what the heat mapping shows is that a large majority of the audience was confused and actually went to the services page instead. This client also spent nearly $250,000 on ambassador videos. And as you can see, there was barely any traffic going to that particular page. This graphic here is a process that we call scroll mapping. We use this tool to analyze how far visitors are scrolling down on the page and what part of the website is white hot. The rule of thumb says that you put your most critical call to actions right in the white hot part of the scroll map. For this client, we were graded on one thing alone. How many appointments could we acquire? As you can see here, this is the Make an Appointment button. Do you see something wrong here? Do you see how it's shaded slightly yellow? That means that 15% of their audience didn't scroll down far enough to find this button. Down at the bottom of the website, there's a video that we believed would bring a lot of value to potential site visitors. However, only 45% of their audience scrolled down far enough to engage with that video. While each industry and website is unique, tracking user engagement is the #1 way across the board to maximize conversion. And that's why we do the exact same testing on mobile devices. Now we come to click mapping. With this functionality, we can monitor every single click that happens on your website. We can do this across a variety of filters, such as new and returning visitors, how long did it take visitors to click, which search terms brought them to the site, what browser did they use, etc., etc. We're able to gather a ton of information from studies like this. For example, we might gather data that tells us that open and click-through rates will improve if we email market to C-level executives on a Sunday night rather than a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Next up, we have KPI tracking. This analysis measures not just your major goals, but also your key performance indicators. We put all of these micro-engagements into percentages, and we strive to improve these numbers month over month. If you ever heard the phrase, "Don't sweat the small stuff," I can tell you that the person who said that has no business in marketing. Marketers need to overanalyze the small stuff to make sure that the desirable end result is as attainable as possible. The next part of usability conversion analysis is mouse recording. This technology tracks and records the movement on the user's mouse throughout the website. With that information, we're able to identify what parts of your website might be confusing to your audience and limiting their engagement. And then we strategize to improve user experience. The next portion I want to address is conversion funnel analysis. In this process, we see what pages are converting the most and what attribution pages are leading to conversion. Form analytics. Of course, not everyone who starts filling out a form will actually hit submit. While we might not know the exact reason that they abandoned this process, our technology can help us make pretty educated guesses. We can find out exactly where people are getting spooked on your forms, and then we can use data to suggest revisions that will result in more users actually hitting the submit button. Implementing video into our marketing strategy is absolutely critical. Studies show that the use of emotional appeal through cutting-edge video is one of the most compelling ways to engage an audience. The only challenge is that video can be a big investment. Therefore, having access to highly sophisticated video analytics is essential to understanding how conversion happens so you don't waste time, energy, and money creating videos that don't work. So let me show you how we do this. As you can see here, we were able to analyze user viewing experiences and find out where drop-off points are. Meaning, where did viewers abandon the video? This provides us with the information we need to either edit that video or to have the knowledge to create more effective videos in the future. This technology allows site users to opt in to your videos by inputting their contact information on the video itself. That technology can also be seamlessly integrated into your marketing automation platform. Once a user has opted in, you can see their name, if they rewound, and where they abandoned the video. As you can see here in this example, Oliver watched 98% of the video, while Tim Bailey only watched 59%. If we had put a call to action at the end of this video, such as a promotional webinar, Oliver would have seen it, while Tim Bailey would have not. So our system will start to drip market to Tim about the parts of the video that he missed and possibly point him to a pre-recorded webinar that he can watch on his own time. The ultimate goal of usability conversion analysis is to develop a growth-driven design and marketing approach. Let me explain. What you see in the diagram is a very traditional approach to marketing. A company will go out and develop a new website, or they'll hire a new digital marketing agency, but then 3 to 5 years later, the company believes that their marketing materials are out of date, and then they need to rebuild or rebrand their entire website, commonly from scratch. Or they might want to hire another digital marketing agency to develop a brand new campaign. And here's the problem. They continue to reinvent the wheel every 3 to 5 years. Let me give you a quick story. It is estimated that the 1969 Apollo moon rockets that brought Neil Armstrong to the moon and safely back to Earth were off course nearly 97% of the time they were in flight. Yet they still reached their chosen destination and returned to Earth with pinpoint precision and timing. How were they able to do this? Through constant course corrections and incremental adjustments until they reached their final destination. And so it is with marketing. You see, any marketer who claims to have the entire journey mapped out with 100% certainty is a liar. That's just not how marketing works. What we do as marketers is we take an idea based upon research and best practices, and we launch it into the world. Next, we gauge how it works, but ultimately we're guessing. Now, based upon how your potential audience receives that original message, we're now smart enough to make critical course corrections. We continue to tweak and craft the message and sharpen the spear over and over again until we get to the exact point we're hoping to achieve. The reason why this approach is ineffective is because oftentimes wholesale changes are commonly made based upon hunches and trends rather than on data and analytics. With growth-driven marketing, it is our goal to establish a strong initial foundation for your marketing. Next, we utilize A/B testing, multivariate testing, and heat mapping analysis so that we can measure small incremental adjustments to see how they perform. And then we're going to continue to make those adjustments over and over again to make the best possible results for each of your marketing deliverables. SEO. SEO is what we call our bread and butter because this is what we feel like we do best. Essentially, we have a gift for identifying the perfect keywords that are going to get our ideal clients to find your products and services on search engines. SEO is both an art and a science. In this portion of the presentation, I'm going to walk through how to do it step by step. While there's several different types of SEO, I really want to concentrate on just two: local SEO and organic SEO. Local SEO. When I'm talking about local SEO, I namely mean SEO that is designed around geographical-based keywords. For example, have you ever looked for a plumber in your town? To do so, you would normally type into the search engine something like plumber plus Philadelphia or plumber plus Westchester, New York. And what you see here is the average local search result. Local search results commonly show 3 local business listings. These listings are called pin packs. In order to be successful with local SEO, your business needs to be one of those 3. But in all honesty, depending on your industry, there's a ton of competition out there. So getting one of those listings requires a level of expertise that few companies have. Now down here are organic listings. We're going to talk about them in a minute. When we're talking about local SEO, there are a number of different local ranking factors. One of the top authorities in the SEO world is called Moz. Every year, Moz puts out a detailed report of all the local ranking factors that help companies get found at a local level. Our team utilizes that like a cookbook. We go step by step through this process to make sure that all of the ranking factors are done effectively for local SEO keywords. This here is a local SEO report that we present to our clients. In local SEO, the most critical ranking factor that we analyze is the consistency of something we call NAP, name, address, and phone number. That is how they appear in citations. And in our industry, NAP is everything. Having a constant NAP on online directories increases your domain authority and is one of Google's recommended best practices for local businesses. Now let's talk about organic SEO. With organic SEO, we have a very unique process called VOD, which means volume over difficulty. To explain VOD, let me walk you through something we call the skyline analogy. You see, of course, every company that we work with would like to be on the first page of Google or Bing for the keywords that drive a ton of search volume. We call those keywords skyscrapers. However, just because you want to be on the first page of Google for skyscrapers doesn't mean that you have developed enough authority in the eyes of Google to secure that type of ranking. And one of the biggest pitfalls companies have in marketing is that they overreach for keywords that are just not realistic. So what you have to do is you have to have a plan to get there. Enter VOD. In the VOD process, we are looking to identify keywords that have the highest visibility or the highest search volume with the lowest competition or the lowest keyword difficulty. The reality is that most companies compete for the top 10,000 keywords in their industry. That's because they don't realize that only makes up 20% of overall search. They do this because they don't know how to find the other 80%. The 80% of keywords that are more specific and easier to acquire. Now, our technology allows us to identify those highly specific 4 to 6 word phrases. We call those keywords long tail keywords. These keywords are kind of the misfit toys, so to speak. Or essentially, they're the keywords that are neglected by your competitors. And they're the same ones that we're going to go and acquire to use to your advantage. And data also indicates that long-tail VOD keywords convert significantly better than broad, high-volume keywords. So now let's go back to that skyline analogy. Rather than going after those skyscrapers right off the bat, what we want to do is go after the other real estate. These buildings are the VOD keywords. Because once your organization can get on the first page of Google for hundreds or even thousands of VOD keywords, what you've done is you've reached a tipping point. The tipping point is essentially when your website has developed enough domain authority and Google recognizes it as providing thought leadership in your industry. Now you have the ability to go after those highly coveted skyscraper keywords. And your website is able to rank for those skyscraper keywords bigger, stronger, and faster than your competition because you've earned the right to be heard in the eyes of Google. So let's see how this plays out in a real-life case study. This diagram here shows the keyword growth that we were able to achieve for one of our largest healthcare clients in a 4-year subset. A typical SEO company is going to look to increase the number of keywords on the first page of Google on average by maybe about 25% year over year. As you can see, in just 4 years, we were able to increase the client's keywords that were on the first page of Google by a whopping 408%. And the keywords that were ranked number 1 on page 1 of Google, we increased by over 247%. So obviously this is a big increase. But what I want to show you is how it translated to patient acquisition. In Google Analytics, we measure qualified traffic. As you can see, this data is just from the client's blog alone. First, let's look at entrances. Entrances are essentially visitors that came to your client's website through, in this scenario, their blog. As you can see, we increased entrances by over 1,000%, from 63,000 to over 1 million. Those results are really powerful, but you're probably wondering, was that qualified traffic? To answer that, let's look at page views. Here it shows how we were able to increase page views by over 1,100%, from 100,000 to 1.3 million. But the most important question you need to ask is, did it work? Did the client get new patients? So let's walk through that in detail. In a 3-year subset, we were able to generate 2,911 conversions from their blog alone. That equated to over $873,000 worth of first-time appointment revenue. How did we get there? Our client estimated the value of first-time appointments as $300. So if you do the math, we have 2,911 conversions multiplied by $300, and that equals $873,000 worth of first-time appointment revenue. Take into account that this number was solely generated off of revenue that we accumulated off of first-time appointments and initial consultations. These revenue numbers didn't even factor in subsequent treatments or surgery. And here's why what we do is so unique. Most SEO companies promise to drive traffic to your website with little to no guarantee on quality or if it actually even converts. That's where we're different. We not only bring the horse to water, we're accountable for if it drinks or not. Our approach works for all types of businesses, whether you're B2B, B2C, small, medium, or large. And what you can see here is case study after case study, the success stories we've been able to achieve for our clients. Now that we've shown how conversion science works, the next question we get asked is, how long before we start to see results? That's a great question, but unfortunately the answer is, it depends. Let me elaborate. This is Neil Patel. He's kind of the Elvis of digital marketing. He did a data-rich study to find out how long it takes to rank for critical keywords, and keep in mind that there's a lot of complexity involved. But essentially the VOD keywords that I've been talking about this entire time, they take about 121 days to rank, while medium volume keywords take around 304 days to rank. And high volume keywords, which are extremely competitive, they take approximately a year. That is why we spend so much of our time chasing down unique keywords that are in the low and medium range. There's less competition and it'll benefit you more in the long run. The next step in our unique process is content strategy. I'm going to invite Todd to the stage to walk through that.
Thank you, Chris. Content strategy and SEO often work hand in hand with each other. Over the last 20 years, we have relentlessly studied how written content and marketing automation have impacted conversion rates. And what we've discovered is that one of the most critical elements to your content strategy is not creating good messaging, but doing it through a compelling and engaging story. And this is where we go back to building a story brand. In the story brand approach, we break down the critical components it takes to create a great story, how to reduce noise, how to develop a frictionless message that's not easy for your ideal audience to embrace, but it's also sticky. Sticky means that your products and services stay top of mind. But let's face it, even if you told the best story in the world, if it's not optimized for search engines, it simply wouldn't be found. But our approach takes your story one step further by SEO optimizing your content for specifically targeted keywords. And then nurturing those visitors down the funnel, we're able to turn cold leads into warm or even hot prospects. Ultimately, qualified prospects will end up at landing pages like the ones you see here. On a landing page, we present the opportunity to download a content upgrade. Essentially, prospective clients will trade their contact information in exchange for ebooks, white papers, exclusive video content, infographics, or any materials that they're looking to acquire. However, when they provide their information and select submit, they're opting into our automation system that places a tracking code called a cookie on their computer or mobile device. That cookie allows us to track engagement with our marketing. Let me walk you through what that looks like. For example, let's say we're going to create a buyer persona for, say, Jim Halpert. This is an example of our HubSpot marketing platform. And then in this buyer's journey for Jim Halpert, we're going to define Jim as an avid cyclist living in Philadelphia, PA. He's been having this nagging back pain for the last 6 months, and he finally gets to the point that he wants to do something about it. Jim found this orthopedics practice through the keyword spine specialist in Philadelphia. From there, he went to the spine specialty page. On the spine specialty page, he downloaded the Back Pain Cyclist ebook. In downloading that ebook, he got a cookie or tracking code on his computer. Our system automatically began to drip market to him. The first email was called 5 Back Stretches That Relieve Back Pain, which he opened. The second was non-surgical options for back pain, which was delivered but not opened. And the third was Understanding a Spinal Assessment, which was opened. And finally, our system put him on a back pain newsletter. And that is how we went from a lead score of 0 to an 80. Now I want to skip ahead to something we call the buyer's journey. I'd like to bring Chris back to the stage to take us through that.
Remember when we talked about buyer personas? The ultimate goals of those exercises was to get the right message to the right client at the right time. The buyer's journey takes that concept one step farther. Let me explain. Even though you might not believe this, not everyone is in a position to buy your products and services. In fact, there might be countless reasons why anyone chooses one product over another. So let's walk through the psychology of not only why people buy, but when people buy. The buyer's journey is traditionally broken down into 3 stages: awareness, consideration, and decision. To best illustrate this, I'm going to use an analogy of buying a car. When you go and you buy a car, you never just buy the first car on the first lot that you see. Usually the journey begins if your car broke down or you're looking for something new. That's the awareness stage. In the consideration stage, you're asking yourself, what kind of vehicle am I looking for? Am I going to get a sedan, an SUV, or maybe even a sports car? Then maybe by the decision stage, you may already know what type of vehicle you're going to get. Let's say in this case, an SUV. Now you just need to figure out what make, model, color, and dealership, etc. that you're going to be looking for. So in the buyer's journey, all of this goes on in your subliminal. And this is how you ultimately choose the car you're going to buy. That's not exactly rocket science, but as marketers, we use these psychological techniques all the time. Whether we're trying to sell a new car, or in this instance, whether we're trying to give people information on whether spine surgery is a good idea. So now let's look at the buyer's journey for orthopedics. Let's say you're looking for spine surgery. In the awareness stage, you've developed back pain that just won't go away, and you're finally deciding to do something about it. And you've researched which provider accepts your insurance. Then in the decision level stage, you choose one provider over another. Again, this is not rocket science. This is marketing 101. But the problem is that most companies end up building their website with only limited awareness content and maybe 1 or 2 decision level pages. Maybe like a contact us page. We talk all the time about pushing clients down the funnel, but we rarely create content that nurtures through the process. How can you push someone down a funnel that doesn't even have a middle? You can't. But that's how average companies build websites. But great companies commit to developing an editorial plan that builds out awareness, consideration, and decision level content. Enter the sitemap target page. Now here's where it gets really exciting. It's when you connect your buyer's journey to marketing automation. Now let's pretend like a prospective client is interested in your products and services and they visit a consideration level page on your website. Assuming they've got a cookie on their computer from previous efforts, when they leave your website, a marketing automation email is going to get sent out to their inbox. And that email will have more in-depth content in it. It might have an opportunity to download a decision level ebook or maybe watch a video. But essentially, what we've done is we've pushed them down the funnel from awareness through consideration to decision. So now that you understand how the buyer's journey works in relation to your content strategy, now what we have to do is we have to figure out how does content compound that effort. So I'm going to bring Todd back on the stage and he's going to talk to you about editorial calendars.
Thanks, Chris. The single most important part of content strategy comes down to developing an editorial calendar. An editorial calendar allows our clients to go from being reactive marketers to being proactive marketers. Let me explain what I mean by that. Henry Thoreau is correct when he said, "We live lives of quiet desperation," which means that it's very easy to do marketing in a short sprint, then take your foot off the gas and do very little marketing for a while. For example, you might have a trade show that you sprint to get ready for, then after the trade show, you sort of go back to your regular responsibilities. Then a few months later, Christmas season comes around and you go right back to sprinting again. Then after the season, you might relax again for a bit. This is textbook reactive marketing and it doesn't work. Our goal is to be as proactive as possible. With proactive marketing, you'll be able to let your stakeholders know what content is going out the next month, the next quarter, or possibly even the next year. So, we designed our editorial calendars to be about 80% structured and 20% nimble. We do this to allow for the constantly changing world of business. The calendar is customized to your company and its content's needs, but also includes the content type, what mediums it'll be used in, what keywords we'll be optimizing for, and where it fits in the buyer's journey. Therefore, you'll have the ability to identify what patterns and what consistency levels it takes to reach your goals. When you communicate consistently with quality content, your results compound. We've seen it countless times. Your editorial calendar will be connected to collaborative docs like Google Docs. Collaborative docs will look something like this. On this document, our content writing team has written content that is designed to rank on major search engines. What you'll also notice is that when we optimize the content, we optimize for certain keywords. In this instance, it was for back, neck, and spine problems. Once the content has run through an internal audit, now our technology does something very powerful. Before an article is even published, our software is able to analyze what companies are on the top 10 results of the first page of Google for the keywords we are targeting. And it outlines the revisions that need to be done to your article to outperform your competition. So in this example, it says that you have a very poor chance of beating your competition. Why is that? It only scored your content as a 3.7 out of 10 total points. When it compared this page's readability to your competitors, it also missed the mark. After that, it looks at word count and identified that it was only 698 words, which is about 140 words short of your competition. Then finally, it looks at the keywords you're trying to optimize for. It will show you which keywords you should highlight first and which other ancillary keywords, also called LSI keywords, you should add into your content. Once our software does this analysis, it gets sent back to our writing team to make the required revisions. Then we send it to you, the client, to give it a last look to bless for final review. Once it's been approved, we mark it on the editorial calendar and we publish the content on your behalf. The number one question we get is, how do we know your writers can write according to the sophistication or the technical level of my particular industry? That's a very good question, and I think I can answer it in several different ways. One of the first things we do in the gap assessment and onboarding is take a tremendous amount of notes, and then we add them to your case notes. Our case notes are used to understand all of the critical details about your company, from industry specifics all the way down to essential buzzwords. The next thing we do is we interview the subject matter experts from your company on a recorded line. The average 1-hour phone call can result in about 60 to 90 days worth of content. Before we wrap up on content strategy, I want to walk you through something very important. So let's just say you have a website that gets 10,000 visitors per month and you have a 2% conversion rate. This would equate to about 200 leads per month. But let's just say your goal is 300 leads per month. Your knee-jerk reaction might be to crank up the lead generation and bring in 15,000 visitors to your site. But in actuality, that's more difficult and significantly more expensive and will likely take more time than we have allocated within the scope of your project. But you know what makes even more sense and is significantly less expensive? What if we look at improving your conversion rate? The number one way to do that is to go back, rewrite your existing content in a way that is more engaging. With this approach, by only increasing your conversion rate by only 1%, I'm going to be able to hit your sales goal of 300 leads with the same amount of traffic. So we've talked a lot about the power of content strategy, but there is a missing piece, and I'm going to talk about that next, and that is lead nurturing. According to a survey done by VB Insight, 80% of marketers using automation generate more leads, and 77% of those convert more of those into leads. So why is that so effective? Because lead nurturing is the cornerstone to converting more leads into clients. However, nearly every company we talk to either doesn't have a formalized lead nurturing process or they just neglect it altogether. Lead nurturing is a fairly sophisticated process, but let me give you a quick example so that you can see it in action. Imagine a potential client engages with your website. We've dropped a cookie on their computer or mobile device. Anyone who has this tracking code will be in our system, and they will start to receive marketing automation emails. Note, the time frame between these emails is based upon the aggression level of the client. However, over a specified amount of time, the average user should get emails related to the following: overview, features and benefits, cost of procrastination, frequently asked questions, testimonials and case studies, and finally, the next opportunity to talk. Now, if they graduate through all of these drip marketing emails, our system will put that lead on a newsletter list. And that list will be segmented and sent out in tandem with your other marketing initiatives. Slippage campaigns are automation workflows similar to the standard drip marketing emails. However, these emails are designed to re-engage potential clients who had a very good experience with your sales team, but for one reason or another, they just slipped off the hook. Slippage campaigns are designed specifically to drip market to leads that have run cold. The most effective way to do this is to design your email sequences to answer the most commonly asked objections that you've heard in your sales discovery process. So for example, if a prospect says, "Now is not a good time," our system would send out a pre-developed slippage campaign on cost of procrastination. Or if someone says, "Your product is just too expensive," the system will drip market to them about the value versus the price. When we proactively answer questions before they're even asked, it establishes confidence and trust with your potential client. To get the best results from your marketing automation emails, we strive always to bring value. And the best way to do that is to either include bite-sized infographics or video snippets specifically designed to engage with your potential client. In fact, according to SEO Moz, adding the ability to watch a video from your email will increase open rates by a whopping 35%. In summary, lead nurturing is the middle of the funnel that so many companies fail to address. But when done effectively, it catapults your sales opportunities and ultimately eliminates potential client drop-off. Well, let's welcome Chris back to the stage.
Thanks, Todd. Very few things have ever impacted the world of marketing like social media. But that's not the full truth. I'm going to say something radical here, but social media rarely works. What I mean by that is that social media rarely works without including a paid advertising element into it. Let me explain. When social media started out, organizations like Facebook were able to gain tons of active subscribers to their platform. However, once it reached a critical mass, Facebook did something brilliant. Well, brilliant for them, not so much for us. What they did is they gave companies unlimited free access to their social network. And companies came in droves. They thought, wow, this is a gold mine. One website with all of our potential clients, and they're literally going to tell us everything about themselves. Where they live, who they associate with, what they like, what they don't like. It was a perfect place to market your products and services to a target audience. Just simply get them to like your page, and now they're exposed to all of your content, whether they like it or not. And then practically overnight, Facebook turned off all of the water. Suddenly, all of the free visibility that companies were used to was gone. And your audience, including your fans, followers, likes, and connections, went from seeing your content to practically seeing nothing. And in this Forbes article, it suggests that Facebook made billions off of this. And when I say seeing practically nothing, it is estimated that your organic social media reach went from 40% to 2%. So how did Facebook make money? Well, they said, hey, Mr. Client, you can still have access to your audience, but now you're going to pay us for the privilege of marketing to them. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't still want to actively generate more fans, followers, likes, and connections. People like big numbers. In fact, those numbers that used to hold so much value, they still have the benefit of something we call social proof. For every like a product or service gets on Facebook, it improves its perceived value. But to be clear, these numbers rarely help your organic social media reach. That could only be acquired through paid ads. Now, if you're a company that specializes in marketing in a business-to-business environment, choosing the right social media platform is very important. Usually this would mean investing significant time, energy, and money into LinkedIn. I'm going to tell you a real quick story. My company was trained by one of the best LinkedIn coaches in the marketing industry. Her name was Bryn Tillman. And Bryn would tell this story about when she started out in sales, that she had this privilege of sitting down with one of the most connected and influential people that she had ever met in her life. Now, on his desk was a large Rolodex. You remember the big Rolodexes in the 80s and 90s? She knew within that Rolodex were some of the most powerful and wealthy individuals in the world. She thought, man, if I could only just borrow that Rolodex for an hour, I could make a fortune with access to people like that. Well, that dream Rolodex, it exists today. And we all have access to it. It's called LinkedIn. But the problem, however, is that LinkedIn takes time, it takes a sophisticated strategy, and you have to know how to use it effectively. So to win with LinkedIn, you have to work smarter, not harder. And the best way to do that is to use LinkedIn automation. So when we started in the automation game, the challenge we had is that we couldn't find an automation platform that could fit our approach the way we wanted it. So we built one. You see, there's something that you can never accomplish with doing outreach manually that you can do with automation. Our LinkedIn automation platform allows us to do something very unique. It allows us to take a custom, pre-selected audience and systematically market to them through drip marketing sequences. Our platform can do a variety of things to simulate human behavior. However, the most effective approach has been to do something like this. On day one, we follow an individual who would like to do business with us. On day 3, we send them a direct message about your unique selling proposition. Now on day 6, we do a connection request, and then finally on day 9, we request an invitation to talk. Our system at its peak can reach out to about 1,000 prospects a week, or roughly 4,000 a month. But LinkedIn automation is only one piece of the puzzle. Now let's go back to the approach that works not only for business to business, but also to business to consumer. Just like our content strategy, social media comes down to consistency. We implement something we call the 80-20 approach, which means that 80% of our posts are about establishing you as a thought leader. Here's where you share statistics and stories and compelling images. The purpose of these posts are to simply add value to your followers. Now let's talk about the other 20%. The other 20% of your posts are used to talk specifically about the features, benefits, and highlights of your services. In this process, we also integrate cutting-edge technology. Our software is also designed to do something we call social listening. Here's how it works. We obtain your company's keywords, and then we apply them to your social media tools. If someone in your social network uses one of the keywords in their social media posts, maybe in this case, knee replacement in Philadelphia, your organization will receive a notification with the ability to reach out to them directly. Now, we tirelessly review your social media analytics to figure out what's working, what needs to be tweaked, and ultimately, what platforms convert the best potential clients. So those are some of the highlights of social media. Now we'd like to transition to the next part of our unique process called paid advertising. Now I'd like to invite Todd back up to walk through that in great detail.
Thanks, Chris. For this presentation, when we talk about paid advertising, we're mainly talking about Google Ads and paid social media campaigns. We're going to be talking in broad strokes throughout the portion of this presentation, but you should know that there are many tactics that we use for paid advertising where the approach for Google Ads is similar to paid social media ads. However, there are some distinctions between the functionality of each platform that we want to highlight. We're going to cover a few of them here. There are numerous pros and cons when it comes to paid advertising. However, we would just like to highlight a few. One of the common benefits of paid advertising is speed. In the ideal sense, you can get your paid ads up in a fraction of the time that it would take to optimize and index for SEO. Targeting is another major benefit. Google and social media channels specialize in providing data and the ability to reach specific audiences with custom messaging. Consistency. So retargeting allows your message to stay in front of your ideal audience. And finally, ROI. It's much easier to calculate your CPA, your cost per acquisition. So for the cons, one of the biggest cons is cost, and that's the investment in paid ads is commonly more significant compared to SEO. Also, it's budget dependent, which means that if you set your ad up and it's not set up properly, when your budget's depleted for that month, your ad comes down. Unlike SEO, where results compound like an annuity, the results from a paid ads campaign end as soon as the campaign ends. The big question, which you're probably asking yourself right now, is which paid ads platform is best for me and my business? The simple answer is, it depends. When it comes to paid advertising, people often think about B2B or B2C, but we've trained our team and our clients to stop thinking about B2B and B2C and start thinking about B2P. B2P means business to person. Allow me to explain. You might be thinking that advertising on Facebook is a poor use of your money because you service a business-to-business clientele. However, you have to realize that every business is made up of people. And when people you are trying to target are not looking for solutions to their problems, they're doing things that normal people do, like checking their Facebook account. While we believe that your clients are probably not going to Facebook to look at your products and services, it's possible that you are using a retargeting approach. Your ads will follow them wherever they go on the web. So in this case, your ads follow them even onto Facebook so that your business stays top of their mind. One of the top complaints that we hear from potential clients is that they've tried advertising in the past and they've wasted a lot of time, energy, and money doing so. Whether they did the advertising themselves or they used a vendor, oftentimes the clarity of what needed to be changed to make their campaign a winner was lost in the complex and noisy advertising analytics. In other words, they were getting reports that looked like this. I know, this looks confusing, but believe me, we do this for a living, and sometimes I don't even understand it. We take a different approach. Our job is to present simplified reports using 4 key data points. Our objective is to get your average cost per click as low as possible, while at the same time improving impressions, conversion clicks, and click-through rates. Essentially, what we are doing is optimizing the process to get the best possible results at the cheapest price. So let's focus on social advertising first. With social advertising, understanding your ideal buyer persona is going to be paramount. For this example, let's pretend that we're trying to target a shoe enthusiast. To do that, we put a piece of tracking code called a pixel on your website so that when potential clients who come to your website and then leave, we're able to create specific ads that follow those prospects around when they go on Facebook. But more importantly, this pixel also provides Facebook with the demographic information of your ideal buyers. That information is used to create lookalike audiences. These are individuals or companies who might not even know that your brand exists. But now through Facebook, we have the power to target directly to them with very specific messaging about your products and services. But we're able to take it one step further. We can use that same pixel to create a lookalike audience. Let's pretend we stay with this idea of trying to target shoe enthusiasts. With that pixel, we're able to target that exact audience with advertising and organic messaging. But what if we want to reach potential audiences that might not know about your company or your products and services? It's simple. We can do a targeted advertising campaign to people who are on social media that share the same demographics and the same buyer persona information as the individuals who've been to your website in the past. Our approach lets us do an advertising process called retargeting. Let me explain what retargeting is. Have you ever gone to Amazon to look for a pair of shoes, and when you leave Amazon, the ads for those shoes just seem to follow you around wherever you go? These ads can be displayed through social media channels and throughout websites in the Google network. These ads can also be displayed in video pre-roll format on YouTube and as a 15-minute clip that is shown during Facebook Watch videos. There are a number of different approaches that are effective to use for paid ads and social advertising. However, the last approach I want to discuss with you is called geotargeting. Geotargeting functionality allows our team to create a circle perimeter around a specific geographical area that you'd like to market to. Within that circle, your ads will be displayed to a target potential client audience. Just imagine, what if there's a large convention that'll be attended by many of your ideal potential clients? Our team could put up a geofence around the location of the convention center during the event and market to all those attendees inside the building. To wrap up paid ads, there are a lot of factors to consider. Our systematic approach maximizes the benefits of paid ads while balancing the cons that trip up so many organizations. Let me call Chris back to the stage, and he can talk to you about video development.
Thanks, Todd. I've got a question for you. What's the most effective call to action in the world? The play button. The value that video brings to marketing is incalculable. This is why it's at the heart of our approach. Not only does it create an emotional and engaging experience, but it also keeps users on the website longer. And that is the key factor that helps your content rank in search engines. Using video in marketing at this point is table stakes. Nearly every company in the world is striving to do that. And just like I mentioned before, over 400 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every single minute. But how you utilize video, that matters the most. Let me elaborate. When done effectively, video will help you maximize your online visibility. Our video SEO technology allows us to know what keywords a user might type into Google to generate a video-based search engine result. As you can see in this example, when our users type in information about knee replacement, our clients' videos show up at the top of the search engine results page. As with many parts of our unique process, video development is an art and a science. While we've covered the science portion of explaining how to maximize your online visibility and also how to organize your video content, it's also important to walk through the art of good video development. When video is done right, it gives marketers a way to communicate about your products and services in a story format that is both compelling and engaging. We've been measuring the effectiveness of videos in marketing for nearly 2 decades. And what we've discovered is that the most effective videos often require the most preparation. And that's why Fairtex strives to take the guesswork out of that process. Our team handles script development, storyboarding, video production, post-production, publishing, and then finally promotion. We develop our videos in a wide variety of formats, including traditional video, explainer-based videos, and vector animations. When compelling storytelling is combined with a conversion strategy, really great things happen. Another effective way to utilize video is to take one longer form video and cut it up into a series of shorter videos. We call that process micro-contenting. We use micro-contented videos all throughout our process, such as applying them in marketing automation emails, embedding them into blogs, utilizing them in social media, and then finally pushing them through all your paid ads. However, the best way to use micro-contented videos is to put them all in one page. We call these pages asset pages. Asset pages are one long page organized by a macro topic. On these pages, we answer the most frequently asked questions and address common objections. And we answer these questions in text format and video format. Pages organized this way often index in Google very effectively because the content is keyword rich and the videos keep users on the page longer. In conclusion, video has gone from a nice to have to a must have. If you're not using video in your marketing strategy, then you are missing out on a tremendous opportunity. It's our #1 goal to help our clients make data-driven decisions. Analytics and reporting are what allow us to transform marketing. Now, new marketing ideas are a dime a dozen, but the ability to understand data, Pivot and reassess is what makes good marketing great. A critical mistake companies make when it comes to reporting is something we call death by data, meaning rather than having enough data, you get information overload. That is why we provide 3 types of reporting: monthly reporting, quarterly deep dive reports, and real-time access to your analytics dashboard. On your real-time analytics dashboard, we try to focus on the essentials. How many visitors do we get compared to your goals? Next, how many leads do we get compared to your goals? And finally, how many clients were we able to close compared to our goals? And once we know that, we're able to determine where leads came from. We'll know if they came from organic search, direct traffic, referrals, social media, outbound marketing, paid ads, and paid social. Okay, for nearly an hour now, we've talked about marketing strategy in great detail. However, strategy without analytics is like running a race without a finish line. Remember, you can't improve what you don't measure. Now, let's talk about account management and what role it's going to play in our relationship. To do that, I'm going to call Todd back on stage to walk through this.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Now let's talk about account management and what role it will play in our relationship. We take partnership very seriously, and we believe that the cornerstone of a successful outcome for your campaign is in direct relationship with the synergy that your team has with our account manager. That is why Faratech will limit the number of clients and account manager services so that you get quality time with your account manager and they aren't spread too thin managing other accounts. Here's what you should expect: a weekly touch-base call to review your deliverables and editorial calendar, a monthly meeting to review your analytics at a macro level, a quarterly deep dive meeting to review your campaign analytics in great detail and goal setting for the next quarter, biannual in-person meetings, real-time access to your HubSpot dashboard and CRM. Look, at this point, you're probably thinking, this sounds like a lot of work, but how do I know that you aren't going to take up too much of my team's time? That's a great question. Well, on average, you should expect to spend only about 1.5 hours a week with our team on your marketing. Remember, our approach was created for clients just like you because we are the time that you don't have. And quite possibly, we are the subject marketing expertise that your team needs. We would also encourage you and your team to join us in our offices in Conshohocken. We've worked hard to create a collaborative space that would make our clients not only feel welcomed, but also able to dream and think critically and creatively in an environment that's not your everyday office.
The number one question that we get when we get to the end of a presentation is, how do we start? Commonly, our clients are very anxious to get started and they want to jump right into their campaign. And we're excited too. But this is where most marketing agencies get it wrong.
At Faratech, we start out with a gap assessment. That is what makes us unique and stand apart from the other marketing agencies. Chris, can you tell us a little story about how that goes for us?
Yeah, no problem. Now let's imagine that you go into a primary care doctor for a routine annual physical. The doctor does a quick checkup and without any extensive tests, no x-rays, no MRIs or scans, and he looks at you and he says, you know what? I think you would be a perfect candidate for open heart surgery. You would be like, what? I think you would be shocked. Wouldn't you want to know that the doctor has tested and analyzed everything and all the courses of actions before he jumps into such a dramatic option? I mean, it's crazy, right?
Absolutely.
In our industry, this happens all the time. Our clients go into marketing companies and they might spend maybe an hour or two to tell them about their goals and their issues. And then the average marketing company might take 2 or 3 hours to do surface level research and analysis. And then you know what they do? They give you a $100,000 proposal. How long did they take?
2 to 3 hours.
2 or 3 hours. 2 or 3 hours to write a proposal for the next 12 months that could make or break your business or decide if you even reach your goals at all. At Faratech, we take a very different approach. You see, to build a great marketing campaign, it takes great research and it takes great understanding at a comprehensive level. And that is why we developed the gap assessment. A gap assessment is a 10-week deep dive into your company's goals, KPIs, and growth opportunities. It's also a way to look at your total marketing potential in relation to the size of your industry and how much market share you need to reach your goals. It is our vision to help your organization 10x your business leads and opportunities.
Identify critical gaps in your marketing.
Develop foundational marketing assets to scale campaigns.
Create and maintain a marketing scorecard.
Identify quarterly priorities and goals.
Review your competition.
Identify the lifetime value of your current and prospective clients.
And finally, establish an ROI model that scales as your business grows.
Now, the end result is this. This is a gap assessment. This isn't a white paper or a one-size-fits-all report. This is a sizable book. It's fully customized to your company, and this will serve as your roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years.
Let me go over some highlights of the gap assessment. We're going to review all of your current lead generation, lead nurturing, and conversion strategies. We're going to look at the software that you use, your vendors and partners, and most importantly, the growth potential of your industry. We'll also analyze your inbound and outbound marketing approach, how your SEO stacks up against your competitors, your brand penetration in the marketplace, and a very comprehensive competitor analysis. All of this is tied together in what we call your scorecard. Your scorecard will be our workbook for the next 3 to 5 years. It scores all of the critical parts of your marketing across 5 key areas: marketing message, website performance, content, SEO, and finally, sales and marketing.
The scores are color-coded to indicate the level of priority and what we believe will have the most impact on your results. It is our mission to turn everything from red to yellow and then yellow to green, always turning the dials to get the best possible result for your campaign. Henry Ford said it best: vision without execution is hallucination. At the end of the day, your results come down to creating high-quality deliverables. Strategy can only take you so far, but without timely execution, you will never reach your goals. That's why in the gap assessment, we outline your deliverables quarter by quarter. Our approach is designed to provide structure, yet nimble enough to adjust to changes in your company, your industry, and your goals.
Okay, Chris. So the next question we usually get in the sales process is, how long is it going to take for me to get results?
That's a great question. While results usually vary based upon how effective your current marketing strategy is, we commonly see more of a hockey stick-shaped curve around 6 months after onboarding our clients. However, this process can be sped up if it's combined with an outbound marketing or paid advertising campaign. Now let's walk through a typical financial projection. Commonly, clients tend to make a larger investment in the beginning part of the process. In this part of the process, we develop critical assets such as refining your website, video development, new software connections, etc., etc. However, once the initial investment process is complete, that is when our system kicks it into high gear. Now at this point, our team is actively managing your account. We're utilizing your editorial calendar to consistently develop quality content that generates leads, and then we're also nurturing those leads into customers. It's in this final stage here where our clients really start to see a return on investment. Now, we have clients that have very aggressive growth goals, and we've been able to develop such a clear ROI that they've been willing to invest more and more into their marketing. This is the type of win-win scenario that we're looking for in our clients.
So there it is. There's the Ferrotech unique process. We've built this process over the course of the last 20 years. We firmly believe that our system is the most effective way to transform your marketing and grow your business. Well, thank you for coming out today. Chris and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this presentation, and we welcome the opportunity to learn more about you and your business.
For more information, please get in touch with either Todd or myself, and we'll schedule an introductory meeting. Thanks again.
Thank you.